Welcome to Conversations and Connections to Amplify and Inspire. I'm Kerryn Powell, and this is the second series of my podcast where I take you on a journey into meaningful conversations that inspire action and create lasting impact. This season, we're taking things to the next level, exploring how simple introductions and a curiosity to learn can lead to extraordinary moments. Together, we'll uncover stories, celebrate the transformative power of human connection, and how it drives us to collaborate, contribute, create a better future, and influence change in our community. I hope you enjoy it. I had trouble choosing a quote to start today's conversation because two really sprung out at me, and they were a quote by Stephen Hawking, "The quietest people have the loudest minds," and another by an unknown author, "People are like icebergs. We only see what's on the surface, but there's so much more beneath." I think we often assume that quiet people have little to say, but in reality, they are often thinking, observing, and holding insights that can change the way we connect. My guest today is Skye Bennett, a project manager, facilitator, and speaker who thrives on turning ideas into impactful experiences. As the founder of the Silent Book Club Melbourne, which you possibly haven't heard about, and that's why I invited Skye to be here today, and a facilitator for Street Wisdom and I Am Remarkable, she creates inclusive spaces where people can connect, reflect, and grow. With a background in project management, she blends structure with creativity to foster collaboration, spark meaningful conversations, and drive social change. Whether leading projects, curating conversations, or producing events, she's committed to amplifying diverse voices and fostering collaboration to create positive change. Hello, Skye.
Hi, Kerryn. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you here. And, I have learned a bit about you over the last few months through the Women Speak program that we're doing. And you've shared some awesome stories about the projects and things that light you up. And so I knew I need to ask you to come and talk to me. So I know that you're a purpose-driven leader and a project manager and a facilitator with 20 years of experience across higher education, government, arts and culture, and not-for-profits sector in Australia, and have led complex programs for universities. Tell me what drew you to project management in the first place.
I often get asked that question. And you know what? I was actually an accidental project manager. And I'd worked across a variety of different sectors and industries earlier on in my career. And I'd studied, psychology, I studied social work, and I kind of fell into the arts as well. And I found myself in a role working in the university sector. And what I was actually doing in a lot of ways was project management, but I just didn't know how to label it as project management. So I really just fell into it. And I'm a generalist, so I kind of like to think of myself as a Swiss Army knife kind of professional with lots of different interests and skill sets. So project management made sense to me. So I wouldn't say that I was necessarily drawn to it. I kind of fell in it. So I went from an accidental project manager to a more intentional project manager through the course of my career.
So what have you actually learned about yourself in this role? Or in these roles, really? Because I'm sure we're continually evolving and gaining skills all the time. So what have you?
I think the biggest thing that I've learned in doing this particular role is really understanding that my sort of generalist skill set, which I just mentioned earlier, my Swiss Army knife sort of professional persona, really has been my greatest strength in a lot of ways. To be able to adapt to so many different contexts. And as a project manager, I've worked in non-for-profits, higher education, different Victorian state government portfolios, from recycling to health to COVID-19 response, through to education, and more recently, the National Disability Insurance Agency. My generalist skill set has really been the secret to my success.
I think we often underestimate the skills that we build along the way. In fact, I was just on a call before speaking with you now with someone who said their wife is in classroom and finding it a bit of a challenge, but doesn't think that she's employable anywhere else. And I was saying that that's not my belief, that she has a diverse skill set which she could build on. And it sounds like you've just continually kept adding to your toolkit through your career.
Yeah, that's true. And I think also being really curious about different domains and constantly learning. I'm passionate about learning. It's something that I do as a hobby. I love learning. I love reading, of course. I love learning new ideas. I love learning about new disciplines outside of my own. And so I think having that curiosity coupled with a desire to constantly learn and improve, I think that's a real asset, particularly now in professional setting, to leverage. So yeah, I think that's a real asset going forward.
Yeah, I believe that too, because I think particularly in a time where, AI is becoming stronger, it's such a great productivity tool, but it doesn't have the lived experience to be able to draw on at this point, or the emotional intelligence of empathy or whatever. And I think, yes, it will get better and stronger, but there's still something about that human connection that I think is something that people crave and that we can bring into our work.
Great.
So I've heard you speak and define yourself as an introvert. Um, why do you feel that term applies to you?
So I spent a lot of time, well, reading, but reading about introversion and extroversion and personality styles and personality preferences. And I really, I guess, firstly, resonate with this definition of introversion, or how we kind of define introversion, as something that I really resonate with. And which is, I guess, there's a lot of misperceptions and misconceptions around what being an introvert means. And I know through my own sort of journey of being an introvert, and when I've done tests on introversion and different programs I've been a part of, and I've often been the most introvert of the introverts when I'm in a group of introverts. So I do fall on the very introverted side according to different personality inventories. But I feel like there's this real misconception that introversion is about being shy, it's about being disengaged, it's about being sort of, socially anxious, which is not the case at all. I think there's a real misperception, misunderstanding, and that's been my experience as someone an introvert in educational settings and in work settings and professional settings. There's been a little bit of a misperception. So I definitely resonate with this idea that introversion is where someone gets their energy from. So the definition of an introvert and an extrovert, what makes them different is where they get their energy from. So introverts tend to focus inwards, and I know that's absolutely my experience. And extroverts tend to focus outwards. So there's often a preference for introverts to seek solitude over socializing, which, as we know, and are focused, can concentrate, on goals, and are really good listeners. But I think that's where the gold is found. So moving away from this idea of shy and disengaged, so there's actually real gold in this quality. So introverts, and I know when I connect with other introverts in my Silent Book Club community, are really, really observant, are really, really good listeners. I know this is my experience of thinking before I speak, and often I think to speak and not speak to think, which is a bit of a sort of a difference between introverts and extroverts, and are often drained by social gatherings. And I say that often in professional settings, my social battery is quite finite, and sometimes as the day progresses, it can get flatter. And I know that other introverts feel somewhat similar. Have a preference for working alone. I know I prefer writing over speaking, or communicating and writing over speaking often, and avoid small talk. And that's a bit of a running joke we have in Silent Book Club, is that there's no small talk. We don't have to do small talk if we don't want to. And are quite independent and can really focus intensely.
Yeah.
So there's also the qualities of introverts that I really resonate with.
Well, I always think that networkers, people who are necessarily uncomfortable because they think they are more introverted, they actually are some of the best networkers for exactly the reasons you say, because they're interested in other people and they listen. And I always say you just need a few good openers of conversation, and then the conversation can flow and you learn a lot. How has that shaped your approach to connection and leadership in the roles that you've had?
Yeah, I think it's been really, really, I would say, foundational to when I take on sort of leadership roles and how I approach connections with others. So I often, certainly in professional settings, reflect on what are the things as an introvert in professional settings that I often need and I haven't over the course of time had. So, an example of that could be, opportunity to work alone, to brainstorm alone rather than sort of jump into a collaborative brainstorming meeting, which can be overwhelming as an introvert. They are very good, but then also the sweet spot for introverts often is just doing some independent or solo brainstorming. That's where creativity and really problem solving comes to the fore. Agendas and meetings, opportunity for people to think about, what we're going to talk about before going into a room, opportunity to people to contribute via whole different ways, not necessarily just in a meeting or just in a social event. It could be lots of different ways of communicating, but then also adding value and having their perspectives shared, whether that's in writing or speaking. So a lot of the way I interact as a leader and in the workplace and in professional settings are allowing those spaces for people who are introverted and providing those opportunities to engage that aren't necessarily always there for introverted professionals, but also others as well. But it's really shaped the way I interact with people in the workplace and also professionally.
As you know, I'm all about connection and contribution and community. And so when you shared a story about the Silent Book Club, I was just so fascinated and delighted that you had the initiative to start something to bring people together to connect. So, what inspired you to start the Melbourne chapter, and what makes this such a powerful space for fostering connections?
I heard about Silent Book Club during COVID times. I think it was around 2021. I had read about Silent Book Club through a creative community that I'm part of. And Silent Book Club, for those of you who don't know what it's about, it started in 2012 in San Francisco by two friends who love books, are introverted, but find traditional book clubs not really their thing. They find that the small talk was a bit off-putting, the sort of conversational competitive banter wasn't really their thing, and they felt like there was a little bit of homework associated with the traditional book club and that you read an assigned book and discuss it in a group. So they decided, what if we just started something completely different, which is just a group of people gathering, talking about books and sharing their love of books and love of ideas and love of learning, but then also have opportunity to sit together and read silently together. So they started this together. There's the two of them in 2012. I think it was in a bar in San Francisco, and it just grew from there. So I read about this in 2021 and I thought, wow, this space and this community is just speaking to me. So I researched it. I was like, there's got to be a Silent Book Club in Melbourne, and there wasn't one in 2021. So I thought I would just create one myself. I was inspired by the whole ethos and the idea of Silent Book Club. So it was something that I really wanted for myself. So I just founded a club, essentially. And I figured if there was like maybe 5 or 10 people who would like to join me and read together and share our love of learning and our love of books and feel in a really comfortable, inclusive space together, then that would be success for me. A couple of years later, I'm now still running Silent Book Club. I think I have over 2,000 members in our community, and I run our sessions now 2 times a month, and will be 3 times a month as of March. And it's just an opportunity for people, and we do say Silent Book Club is happy hour for introverts. So we do have a lot of introverts in our community, a few extroverts too, but predominantly people come in and say, I'm an introvert, I feel comfortable here. So I created Silent Book Club really because I love the mission and the ethos of it. I created it for myself, and as it turned out that there are a lot of people out there that the whole concept resonated with them too. So that really inspired me to grow it even further.
Where do you meet and hold the Silent Book Club gatherings?
We meet in public spaces. So I've run sessions from everywhere from libraries throughout Melbourne, CBD, through to parks, which is always a great success in terms of a venue, cafes and bars, breweries, community spaces. So I run them in a diverse range of spaces, typically in Melbourne CBD, to allow everyone to be able to get to the space, so making it as accessible as possible. But yeah, public spaces essentially is where I run our gatherings. I started running them in a library with a small group of people many years ago, and it became so big that I was then forced to find bigger venues because I had 50 plus people turning up to our gatherings, which then constituted a need for venue hire. So then
I just love that story. I love that story. And what age range do you attract in your cohort?
so diverse. Yeah, such a diverse age group. So anywhere from students, university students, through to people in their 80s and 90s. It's such a diverse group of readers that come along to Silent Book Club. Diverse professions. We're a really diverse group of people. But yeah.
I absolutely love it. I believe that a network or a community is just people with a shared interest or a shared problem that they want to solve, and that there are places and groups for everything. I went to a game board exhibition at Collingwood Town Hall a couple of years ago because I'd created a game board, and when I went into the hall, I couldn't believe that it was full of people who had created game boards or were selling game boards. It's like people have things that connect them that are so diverse, and that's just the magic to have the space to do that. I believe you're working with, or you've got a grant, and you're also working with a local council. Um, would you like to increase that sort of opportunity for Silent Book Club?
Yeah, yes, I would love to. So I've been very fortunate to work with the City of Mirrabek, City of Mirrabek Libraries, collaborating with Silent Book Club Melbourne as part of an initiative that they're hosting in 2025 called Lee's Cafe. So we're really excited to be part of Lee's Cafe and bring Silent Book Club to the city residents of the City of Mirrabek. But I would absolutely love to, work with other aligned organisations, and local council is a really great space for Silent Book Club Melbourne, particularly libraries. To bring Silent Book Club Melbourne, and I guess the Silent Book Club movement to different communities throughout Melbourne as well.
Fantastic. There's another quote that I should throw in here about still waters run deep. And when I've heard you talk about street wisdom and I'm remarkable, I've learned so much from you about other groups and other opportunities in Melbourne. We don't have a lot of time to talk about both of those, but can you give us a brief outline of how you're involved with those other networks?
Yeah, so Street Wisdom is another fantastic global community. It's based in the UK, and it's a global non-for-profit. And we run, and I'm a Melbourne-based facilitator for Street Wisdom, and we run workshops, both in person and online. And workshop is like a workshop, but it's a walking, and it's a fusion of creative problem solving, mindfulness, and sort of innovative thinking. And so we run these Street Wisdom workshops throughout the globe for anyone who's interested in solving a problem, whether that be their own problem in their own personal, professional life, or solving, complex global problems like, climate change and stuff like that. So it's a fantastic community that I'm part of, and it started again in a similar time. I think it started around the same time as Silent Book Club Melbourne, by a innovator in the UK, innovator and entrepreneur by the name of David Pearl. So I'm part of that particular community and run workshops here in Melbourne a couple of times a year. And the other community I'm part of is called I'm Remarkable, which started, again, another global community that started it actually originated in Google in 2016, and it was started by a woman by the name of Anna Viner, who was then at the time working for Google. She wanted to provide an opportunity for women and other underrepresented groups to self-promote in a really authentic way. And so she started a Google initiative called I Am Remarkable just for her staff, which then just became another global sort of movement. And now it's available to anyone who wants to learn how to sort of, I guess, and practice authentic self-promotion. And so I facilitate I Am Remarkable workshops, again, in person, online, in Melbourne as well. And that came about through my own experience of feeling a little bit like I wasn't necessarily comfortable with self-promotion as an introvert. So then I found I'm Remarkable, and it really resonated with me. And I guess in a very similar way to Silent Book Club Melbourne, I was like, I want to share this with other people. This really is something that resonated with me so much, and I don't hear enough about it. So I'd like to, now I know about it, share it with others. And again, Street Wisdom was really about me being like, oh, I love this premise. I really resonate with the mission of Street Wisdom and the idea of it, and I want to share that with others too.
Yeah. We definitely share a love of being a conduit and connecting people. How can our audience support you in your mission to amplify the groups that you are involved with? What can we do to help?
So if anyone would like a Street Wisdom workshop or uh, I Am Remarkable workshop, either in your communities or in your organizations, and we spread the word of both of those organizations through our workshops and our workshops. So if that's of interest, we're available to run workshops. At Silent Book Club Melbourne, we are always looking for more aligned partners to work with. So Silent Book Club globally, but also our local chapters, work with predominantly small businesses who are really aligned in the spirit of community and inclusivity. And so we work on a kind of reciprocal way where we help local businesses to elevate their business, but also connect communities and connect to potential customers in our community with their communities. But then also the partners that we work with elevate and promote Silent Book Club and help us to become more sustainable. So if anyone is interested in partnering with Silent Book Club Melbourne, we're always looking for venue partners to work with us. So they can be anything from libraries, local council libraries, to cafes, to bars, to community halls. So we're always looking for more venue partners.
So if you came to a YTM event and it was one of the ones where we play games, you might get dealt the card. What do you hope to do that you've never done before?
Wow, that's a great question that I've never done before. I think it would be something that I've never done before that I would absolutely love to do. And if I was given the card to do this, I would totally do it, is to deliver a TEDx talk.
I think you would make a wonderful TEDx speaker and you'd have so much wisdom to share. So I think that should be a goal for you, Skye. I think that would be a really good goal. So to close off, how is the best way for people to connect with you? And do you have a quote for me?
Yeah, so best way to connect with me is I'm on LinkedIn, and I can share my LinkedIn link if you like. And you can connect to Silent Book Club through our website. We're on all the socials, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, etc. Our community is on Meetup as well, so people can join our community through Meetup. But the best way to connect with us is through our website.
Wonderful. And as I said, have you a quote to finish off a great conversation? And it could go on and on, because I'm sure that we would find other synergies and things to talk about in all those projects about getting them off the ground and what's been involved. So maybe we'll have to have a part 2.
Yeah, I'd love that. So my quote is from Susan Cain, and Susan Cain's book Quiet. If anyone who hasn't read it, it was a seminal book for me, and it really reframed the way that I thought of introverts and my own introversion. And it's an incredibly powerful book. So Quiet, the Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking. And it connects into Silent Book Club. So Susan Cain, in reference to Silent Book Club, said, "It's just the most amazing thing to see the introvert revolution literally remaking the way we organize society, this time in the world of book clubs." And I love that quote, the power of introverts and how a small thing can make a big difference.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and look forward to the next talk.
Thanks, Kerryn. Me too.